Can we go back to the days our hosts were stars? Can you tell me why our polished turds calls bar? Can somebody tell me how to get things back the way they used to be? Oh God, give me the reason. Why can't we draw ratings? The violins are playing on the Titanic. Woke welfare collectors are in a panic, hoping to find a remnant of Don's lemons so they can use that as a flotation device. The plots are being prepared in the woke cemetery where mainstream media careers will soon be laid to rest. Just 2 or 3 months after CNN claimed, our ratings are great, ignore those screams, ignore those cries for help, there's nothing to see here. Just 2 or 3 months after CNN basically lied to us by insinuating that ratings were heading in the right direction. I received an email yesterday morning where CNN is announcing changes to their lineup again. Again? Again? How many times is this dump going to change their daily lineup? Seems abundantly clear at this point. There is no saving this network. Oftentimes, when new leadership takes over a company, they like to make an immediate impact. They want to show their expertise, especially in cases like CNN, where the Titanic had been damn near sunk to the bottom of the woke sea by some doofus named Chris the Bongo Licker. A new leader comes in, he wants to show that he knows what he's doing. CNN President Mark Thompson, he assumed his new role in October. I was actually somewhat surprised it took him 4 months to make changes. I guess he wanted to give some of his woke welfare collectors one more holiday season on welfare before he sent them to the unemployment line. Well, KC, CNN hasn't fired anyone. They are simply moving them to positions that better fit their skill sets. Yeah, that's a polite way of saying you're fired. Last year, CNN made drastic changes to their primetime lineup. For 18 or so months, there was this gigantic void in CNN's primetime lineup that used to be occupied by Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo. Hey, it's me, Chrissy C! For 18 months, CNN went with a rotating panel of huge embarrassing failures trying to fill that void. Finally, last year, they found a temporary replacement in Kaitlan Collins. Katie Roo! Katie Roo! Obviously, that has resulted in huge embarrassing failure, but for now, CNN President Mark Thompson, he is leaving the primetime lineup alone. Right now, his primary focus is on the daytime lineup of failure, more specifically, CNN's morning lineup. CNN announced yesterday that they were canceling CNN This Morning. Well, Casey, what the hell is CNN This Morning? Yeah, you see, that's the problem. CNN is canceling a show that most people have never heard of. CNN This Morning was the dump that used to be hosted by Don Lemon. I'm sure you guys remember all the controversy and cat fights that used to happen on that show. Donnie and Katie Roo were constantly fighting with each other. Katie had this mistaken perception that she was the star of the show. Couple of times Donnie had to remind her that she wasn't. But since the firing of Don Lemon and the questionable promotion of Kaitlan Collins to prime time, CNN This Morning has been hosted by some lady named Poppy and some unknown dork named Phil Mattingly, no relation to Don. This time slot used to belong to bitter Brianna Kyler. The thinking was, if CNN could remove the bitterness from morning television and replace the bitterness with joyful banter between Poppy and Philly, people would actually be willing to watch this dump. Instead, ratings declined by 10%, with CNN This Morning averaging just 322,000 viewers. It is the least watched morning program on CNN since 2014. Well, KC, it must be all the cord cutting. Yeah, that's always the excuse when someone is a ratings failure. I never hear Fox News complaining about cord cutting. Fox and Friends is pulling over 1 million viewers. The Morning Lovers on MSNBC average 900,000, while CNN is barely pulling 300,000. And by the way, think about this for a second. CNN is canceling their morning show and revamping their entire morning lineup because the show is averaging 322,000 viewers. To their credit, CNN refuses to accept failure. Meanwhile, Pat McAfee's averaging around 300,000 on ESPN, and they are trying to convince us that Pat McAfee is a resounding success. Initially, though, when I saw this announcement from CNN yesterday morning, a small part of me was thinking, maybe they have a chance. Maybe, just maybe, Mark Thompson has decided to bring in some heavy hitters. Maybe leadership at this network is finally realizing that you need charismatic personalities, you need stars to carry your network. As I'm reading through the announcement, I'm looking for all the star power headed to CNN. Perhaps they were separating Charles Barkley from that charisma vacuum Gayle King and giving Charlie his own show in the morning. According to CNN, Poppy Harlow and Not Don Mattingly, they have been reassigned to roles unknown. Translation: save up your money because you're about to be unemployed. CNN is bringing in a real star to replace this duo of failure. Someone with such name recognition that CNN only has to issue one woke welfare check every 2 weeks to replace the other two. From 5 to 7 every morning, the Morning Dump on CNN will be hosted by Casey Hunt. Who? Who in the hell is that? I had to look her up. Unfortunately for CNN, the prognosis for increased ratings, it doesn't look good. When I looked up Casey Sue, this was the first picture that came up. Didn't we already try the bitterness route with Breonna Kyler? Anger and bitterness tend to work better in prime time. Most people want to be happy and uplifted in the morning. Not at CNN, though. No. According to Mark Thompson, CNN, they are getting away from playful bantering in the morning and renewing their focus on hard news. Emphasis on the hard. You know why Fox and Friends, Good Morning America, and The Today Show, you know why they keep things lighthearted in the morning? Over the last few decades of producing morning television, executives at those networks have figured out that's what works. Deliver lighthearted programming in the morning and deliver serious programming in prime time. CNN is doing the complete opposite. Following Casey Sue will be something called CNN News Central. Okay. I'm starting to understand the strategy now. You don't want to waste your money putting your stars on at 5 o'clock in the morning. With CNN News Central airing from 7 to 10, this is where the morning star power shines, right? CNN News Central. It's going to be hosted by John Berman, Sarah Sidner, and Kate Bolduan. Who? What the hell's going on here? I've heard of Chris Berman. Who in the fuck is John Berman? Sarah Sidner? That sounds like the name of one of those ambulance chasers. Have you been hit by a kid on a bicycle? Call the law offices of Sidner and Sidner. We will sue that kid for his bike and his reflective vest. Sarah Sidner is the former host of The Big Picture with Sarah Sidner. The Big Picture never made it to the box office because the show was on CNN+, the same CNN Plus that died 3 weeks into its existence. Immediately following that destined failure, CNN will have an hour hosted by Jim Acosta. Really? You're trying this doofus again? How many times does this guy have to fail? I mean, Jimmy Costa makes great sunglasses, but he is absolutely painful to watch on television. This dude's been a part of the mainstream media for 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. Decades in the media. And Jim Costa is most famous for being banned from the White House for accusing Donald Trump, Orange Man bad, for accusing Donald Trump of mythical racism. Following the sunglasses, the final hour of the morning on CNN, going to be hosted by Pamela Brown. I hate to keep repeating myself. I really do, but who? At this point, I was so tired of looking up these unknowns, I just gave up. How can I have zero experience in television and I'm still able to notice the glaring lack of star power at this network? CNN can shuffle host all they want. It ain't gonna solve the problem. There are two major problems at this network. Number one, a lack of star power, and more importantly, the complete lack of ability to create new stars. And number two, CNN remains a network without an identity. Maybe Mark Thompson will be able to solve both problems, but it's not going to start by reshaping the morning lineup. If you want to address the real problems at CNN, you need to address the primetime lineup. And to be honest with you, I think those changes in primetime could be coming. In an internal memo that was leaked to the New York Times, Mark Thompson told CNN employees, "I know today's announcement brings a great deal of uncertainty to our valued welfare collectors, but change and uncertainty are inevitable in an industry undergoing a revolution." Full transparency, I have no idea if he's referring to the changes in the morning lineup or if he is alluding to changes yet to come. Seems to me the biggest problem at CNN is their never-ending failure in prime time. I'm wondering if the media career of Andy Cooper is running on borrowed time. Well, KC, Andy is the #1 show on CNN. They will never let him go. Yeah, that's the problem. Andy is the #1 show on this network, and he's only averaging 733,000 viewers. 14 shows on Fox News, 13 shows on MSNBC draw better ratings than Andy Cooper. In other words, damn near every show on both networks, whether they're on at the morning, noon, or midnight, is outdrawing Andy in prime time. I also imagine that the future of Kaitlan Collins could be in jeopardy. Back in August, when the Trump arrest and arraignment was dominating the news cycle, Katie Rue was averaging over 800,000 viewers. Last month, that number was down to a cool 600,000. And last week, Ruru was struggling to draw 500,000. These changes to the morning lineup, I think it's only the beginning. I think we could see drastic changes in primetime at CNN before the end of the year. Question is, will it work? You tell me. I don't see these changes to the morning lineup making any sort of impact whatsoever. I mean, CNN is replacing a handful of unknowns with a group of other unknowns. I mean, who cares? If changes in prime time are coming, would that be enough to save the network? Eventually, Mark Thompson wants CNN to be fully digital. Mark Thompson's a hell of a lot smarter than I am, but my thing is, if CNN can't draw an audience on cable, what makes them think people will be willing to pay to watch CNN on a streaming service? At this point, can anything save CNN? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.